So today is, what's today? The 18th, September 18th. Today is September 18th. I came here just to see when was the last time I did my video for the ADA, because I just had an idea and I thought of doing it right away before I lose chain of thought. So the last time I did the ADA video was September 8th, so 10 days ago. So what came to mind today is that because I was an athlete, right? When you are an athlete, you are very competitive, and your mental aspect into the game is sometimes you just didn't know you had that in you. You know, the toughness, the whatever it takes, whatever it takes to win the game, fairly and stuff like that. But there is something that goes into athlete adrenaline, and specifically adrenaline that comes into play when you are competing. So today, for some reason, I was thinking, maybe I should talk about that from my perspective, okay? And then I will look into a video to see if there's anything that describe it from a professional perspective, because I just want to make sure. By no means I have any knowledge. I never went to school for psychologist or any sort of medical field. I have no knowledge. So this is my opinion here. So I thought that, when, let's say, for instance, a young kid who is in a wheelchair or something, have some sort of a disability and want to compete, right? So sometimes athletes get really frustrated from a non-disabled person. Get really frustrated. Like when you see Serena Williams, for instance, get upset, hitting her racket on the floor. Obviously, countless of other athletes, other tennis players get really frustrated. All this is at the moment, adrenaline that's playing. You could have done better, but yet you missed it. So that's like the automatic reaction from someone who's very competitive. So this is the part I want to bring into especially a young athlete, the disabled athlete who wants to get involved in that. So, I can never speak from a perspective of someone like this because I am not. But I've always said to anybody in the fitness industry, especially at my gym, that usually ask me questions about things. What do I do? What they should do to be fit or something like that. I always tell them, look, I'm not licensed or anything to give you advice, but this is what I do. Things like that, right? But the main thing I always tell people is that know your starting point, where you are at the moment. So for any athlete who are a disabled athlete who just starting and preparing themselves to compete and things like that, they have to understand not only they have the disability, but there are other athletes who probably were training way before them. So their ability might be slightly different from yours, like capable of doing something. Let's say two disabled person have the same exact kind of disability, and then they are competing. So yes, you want to win. Don't get me wrong. You do want to win. But in the moment of competing, this should be a competition with yourself. Why do I say with yourself? Is that know where you started, know all the hard work you put into being in that position, and the last time you had trained for the final moment where you're actually competing, how well did you do? So your competition will be not only with the person next to you. Yes, you do want to do that. Don't get me wrong in this aspect. But you have to try to do somewhat better than what the last time you trained to be at the moment. I hope I explained this, because the competition there is with yourself. You have a disabled a disability, that you are pushing yourself to exert extra energy to make your body do the thing the body is saying no, you should not be doing. So you're pushing yourself to make the body do what it doesn't want to do. Does that make sense? So even if you lose with the person you are competing with, the person that's next to you, you have to think, uh, obviously he did well to win. He or she did well to win. You have to congratulate them. But think of yourself. Where were you yesterday? How well did you do in your practice? How well did you do from the time you first touched, I don't know, you first went on the track to compete? How well did you do? Did you improve from that initial moment to the time you finally compete? So this is where your mindset needs to be. Not to be frustrated because you didn't win with, let's say, there's 500 people you're competing with and you didn't win, you're upset. Well, that's a bit exaggerated. But let's say 4 or 5 people you're competing with, but you get upset because you were not the first one to finish the finish line, to go through the finish line. But the ultimate goal pretty much is you. How well did you do from the beginning until the end? From the moment you first went on a track where, let's say you have a coach who's explaining things to you. Normally, with my kids, when I'm making them do something, I explain the thing and then I make them try it on their own. Not only did I show them for them to see it, then the first time they do it, I make them do it themselves so they have that mentality of the fact that how either horrible or great they did. If they did great in the first time, so the next time you have to do better than the first time. So you understand what I mean? So the mental aspect should not be of you competing with the person next to you. The person next to you is, how do they call this? When they have a dog race, they have the rabbit on the side of the track who's as a guide for them to run or something like that, to chase it or something like that. So that person next to you is something like this. You have to chase it to somewhat improve on yourself. So if the person is better than you or something like that, so you have to, your mindset at the moment is to try to chase it, to be as close as possible. And at the same time, you're improving on yourself. So if you're training, let's say a boxer is boxing, is training for boxing, he's not going to spar with someone who's worse than him. He's going to spar with someone who's better than him. That way, when at the final moment, he has all the angles of possibility of winning the race. Because when you're racing, especially when it has to do with timing and things like that, especially with timing, is to improve the number from from your initial time to the finish, the last time you do it. So it's to improve the number. So always record your numbers, whichever race you are doing. Record the numbers, see where you were at the beginning till the end, to the last time you actually do the race. So if a boxer is sparring with someone, he's not gonna pick a rookie to spar with. He's gonna pick someone who, even a champion in his group, to spar with. That way he could improve on himself. So the thing is you to improve on yourself. So don't get, let's say if you didn't win, okay? Let's say you didn't win. Don't make this a bad thing in your mind where you have a double whammy. Not only your disability, now you create a mental aspect of you for not winning. Winning is not everything, So if the body is unable to do something and you push it to do something that it didn't want to do, that's an accomplishment within itself. So that's my initial aspect of that. So now I'm gonna find a article that probably expect that. I think I typed something here, mental aspect in Paralympics. Okay, I thought that's very important into racing. Let's see what comes in. I'm just picking the first one. Okay, that's from, what is it? NCBI. I don't know. That's a random thing. Website. Okay, Frontier in Psychology, Developing Mental Toughness Lessons from Paralympians. Okay, Mental toughness is a key psychological variable related to perseverance and success in performance domain. Okay, mental toughness and its development has been explored across a range of contexts and across different sports, but no research to date has examined mental toughness in relation to Paralympic athletes. We sought to understand the live experiences of mental tough Paralympians, aiming and conceptualize mental toughness in Paralympic contests, investigating its development. 10 Paralympic athletes were interviewed using in-depth semi-structured interviews. The verbatim transcript of the interview served as a data for interpretive phenomenological analysis. 3 broad themes and several sub-themes emerge and conceptualize Paralympians' mental toughness. Characteristics, determination, you see? I swear I didn't see this here. Okay, determination, defiance, pragmatic, optimistic, resilience, self-belief. I didn't say all of this, but self-belief and independence and cognition, normalization, sense of escape, non-existent of constraints. Damn, there's a glare. The window in the back is making this difficult for me. Okay, influence, conceptual, perception and connection, and cognitive strategies, rational thinking, goal setting, pain management, and control. Okay, and understanding mental toughness development, 2 broad themes and several sub-themes emerge: formative experiences, challenges, classification, setbacks, critical incident, trauma, and recovery. Sustained commitment and development of mindset and perspective during challenge. Failure, see, that's the part here. Failure and acceptance. Yep, that's very important when you're competing. And support and coping resources, social support and significant others, external shaping, social support, overcoming problems and social comparison, and reflective practice. The findings suggest that Paralympians benefit from exposure to highly demanding situations and a supportive environment, and this helps develop mental tough characteristics and behaviors and individualize cognitive coping strategies. Our findings highlight the association between the adaptive development and personal characteristics by overcoming physical and mental setbacks over a sustained time period. Overall, the findings suggest that to develop mental tough characteristics and behavior, athletes in general could benefit from exposure to highly demanding situations and a supportive environment. Oh, that's a long one. I'm not going to read all of that. And the paragraph was already a lot. So what I'll do, I'll put the link of this in the description. That's a little bit too much. Okay, let's look for a shorter one. You guys could check this in the description. I'm not gonna read all. Let's see. Need to psychological screening. No. Psychological consideration for Paralympic athletes. Oxford. Let's see how long it is. Come on. Let's see. Oh, that's a short one. Let's see if it sort of hits some key point here. Okay, psychological consideration for Paralympics athletes. Summary and keywords. The Paralympics are the pinnacle of sporting competition for athletes with physical and intellectual impairment. Most Paralympians have intellectual or sensory, example, visual or physical, amputation, spinal cord injury, cerebral palsy, impairments. The Paralympics have become increasingly competitive and larger over the years as they are grown from 2 countries and 150 athletes in 1952. Oh, I didn't know it was that far back. To 150 countries and about 4,000 athletes in 2012. In the last 10 to 20 years, there has been significant interest and growth in the psychological of Paralympic athletes. Researchers are slowly starting to support the value of psychological skills training. Wow, I didn't even know such thing exists. It just crossed my mind today, this morning. Wow. Typically, a humanistic personal development model that equally value athletes' well-being and their athletic performance has been advocated. Understanding the various influences on performance and well-being specifically for Paralympians is particularly important given the stress of the Paralympic experience. Research on Paralympians has focused on foundational qualities, which are psychological factors such as feeling of control, self-awareness, self-esteem, and personality factors. Often, these foundation qualities are framed as having an indirect influence on performance through factors like training quality and lifestyle choices. Okay, example, alcohol consumption. Yeah, this is what I was saying at the beginning. I said, know where you started to the time you finish. So when you are competing, you're using your inability in a way to force the body to do it. That's pretty much in every sport, to force the body to do something it did not want to do. And then how well have you done from the starting time you first start to the last time you compete. So every time you're doing it, you in the let's say I'm using track and field, for instance, someone who's in a wheelchair going around. So how well did you do from the first time till the last time you compete? So every time should have increased, and then you use your competitors as a guide to push yourself extra. That's the only way I could think of it. I have no study of this, but this is the only way I could interpret it. So that way, let's say another athlete finish the finish line before you. You don't make it another problem, a mental problem for you because you weren't the first one to finish. But when in fact you were competing with yourself since the beginning. You're using the Paralympic, the Invictus Games, and all of this as a guide to push the body, All right, let me finish with this article and then that'll be it because there's not that much study for it. And I'm surprised that I even thought about it this morning. Okay, in addition to foundational qualities, a second area of research targets the psychological methods that are used to develop mental skills and qualities. For instance, competition plans, positive self-talk, and goal setting are all methods used to enhance positive thoughts. Example, confidence, and reduce negative affect, anxiety. A third area of focus has to do with facilitative and rehabilitative factors that influence Paralympics performance. For instance, many Paralympians have to manage chronic pain and avoid overtraining and injury. Many Paralympians have difficulty training as sports facilities are not always accessible for training. Travel to competitions site, especially involving air travel with effects such as jet lags, is particularly challenging and can negatively influence performance. Sleeping in the Paralympic village can also be difficult, with many athletes reporting inferior sleep quality. Finally, that's something they learn, okay? So when they're doing the Invictus game or Paralympic thing, so the facility have to accommodate them, all right? So they can't go on just regular size people just walking through a door. So the doors needs to be somewhat wide for, the wheelchair and all of this. I explained that, I believe, on the first video. Finally, a small body of research has examined the challenges Paralympians face when retiring from sports. Wow, what kind of challenge would be that? That's interesting. That is interesting. I feel like a couple things here could do other videos I could look into. Was it particularly challenging, especially the traveling? Like for instance, right now I'm thinking for traveling, this is where all this involved with money. money issues. So you have those, let's say a Paralympian is gonna compete, let's say another country, he or she will have to leave several days, even a week before the person compete. That way the body could just get adjust to the new place. So I could see me doing other things here, but I'm gonna stop now. But I thought it was something to do a video on. I just thought about it, and I said, if I don't sit down and record my thought right now, it's gonna go. So I won't remember what I was thinking. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.